What's up YouTube? Today's video I'm going to be going over what is the removal of Scourge League, right? So everyone was always wondering, would Scourge League stay around after 3.16? And the answer sadly is no. What you're watching right now is the launch trailer, and the trailer actually makes the league look amazing, which it was really not that amazing overall, but there's definitely some good parts about Scourge League. I'm going to go over the best and worst parts about Scourge League and what I'm personally going to be missing after this league is removed. And we also got some info about the 3.17 launch, which is known as Siege of the Atlas. Siege of the Atlas looks like it's going to be a pretty good league just looking at the 19-second trailer, right? But 19 seconds is honestly too short to really garner anything, but I believe in the trailer. The trailer looks kind of lit. And let's see if I can pull up the trailer real fast, right? So Scourge is not going to be a core mechanic. It's actually something pretty cool that I found out about after looking on what Reddit was talking about. And I'm going to go talk about that after. So right here is the launch day reveal for everyone wondering. Look at this trailer. The high quality. That's probably Maven's grandfather. And those tentacles are the bosses you're gonna fight. Actually, I have no idea, right? So live reveal January 27th at 11 a.m. PST. So it seems like they're actually moving up the time by 1 hour. Because before, I don't know if people remember, the league used to come out at 1 p.m. PST. So eventually, I think that the PoE league will come out at like 7 a.m. or something. But who knows? But basically, League is launching on February 4th. I will probably make another video detailing how bad this release date is if you're actually trying to play Lost Ark. And after doing some research, whether Lost Ark is pay to win or not. But now let's get into Scourge League and whether it is actually what is actually good or bad about it. So, some daily tidbit of knowledge is when someone phrases a headline in a question, and this is known as the Betteridge's Law of Headlines. So, this is a law of headlines that states any headline that ends in a question mark can be answered by the word no. And that is exactly what happened here, right? So DGG phrased this announcement as will Scourge become a core Path of Exile mechanic? And as soon as you see a headline that's a question, immediately you'll know the answer is no. So let's see what they said. As we mentioned recently, we're expecting to launch our 3.17 expansion on February 4th, which means that the ongoing Scourge Challenge League will end fairly soon. It prompts the question, will Scourge become a core Path of Exile mechanic? The answer is no. We don't have any current plans to bring Scourge back. It may still return sometime in the future, but we can't give any current indications for when that might be or what Scourge will look like as core game content. In case you have any unfinished challenge, say goodbye to Scourge. So basically, Scourge is not coming back in any shape or form. There's no future plans to bring it back. So everything you know about Scourge is never going to come back again. You're never going to see the Crucible. You're never going to see uniques with resist on top. And that's just some of the things about it. So let's go into the pros and what's actually the good parts about Scourge League that I will personally be missing. So there's a lot of good parts about Scourge League that I think kind of go under the radar, and some aren't so under the radar. And one of the big ones is no more tainted currencies for easy chroming and fusing. And a lot of people don't know, but tainted chromatic orbs actually ignore the stat requirements on the item. So that's why when you have a brass dome or something, you're able to easily chrome it to have like green and blue sockets, even though it's a completely high strength base, right? So that's actually one of the parts that I'll miss out about. It'll make getting corrupted brass dome with the right colors for lightning strike a lot harder. And also, the Tainted Fusing provided a very easy way to get guaranteed 6 links, especially at SSF. You can pretty much guarantee a 6 link after you 5 link it, you put it into the Crucible, you get it corrupted, and then you gamble, and it's like a 50-50 chance to get a 6 link from using a Tainted Fusing on a 5 link. And that's also probably something that's going to feel really bad. Basically, tainted currencies give more value to corrupted items. You could use a tainted armor scrap to get the quality of an armor piece to 28% or 29%. And overall, it just feels really bad that corrupted items, again, are going to be pretty hard to actually do anything to. And it's just going to become unusable in some cases, right? If you don't have any quality on the shabs, it's gonna feel super bad without a tainted armor scrap. And chroming brass domes is gonna be terrible, or chroming any item with bad stat requirements for the color is gonna be an absolute nightmare. And next we have that Scourge League provides a lot of mobs to kill in maps, and it's actually really fun to play for Deli Juice. So what this means is that you're kind of clearing maps twice right now, and this is actually kind of a bad thing too, in that you do have to do a lot of backtracking, which we'll get into what's actually bad about it. So Scourge League is pretty fun in that it makes the maps feel a lot more dense. It benefits builds that can benefit from the zoomy nature of play. Now, this might not be a great thing as it kind of prioritizes builds that are on the high end of clear speed, right? So if you have a bad clear speed build, Scourge is not going to feel very good because you don't really have that many mobs. You're not able to kill that many mobs. You're not able to get to the high Scourge stacks. Now, on the topic of high Scourge stacks is Scourge League pretty much is very fun for people who like Magic Find, right? So Magic Finding is kind of a interesting topic. Magic Find is definitely nowhere near as good as this league portrayed it to be. A lot of people played this league and thought that Magic Finding is the end all be all of currency making. Like you can just do tower Magic Find, you can find loads of headhunters, you can find a lot of mage bloods, and can find a lot of squires. But the fact of the matter is, this is all enabled by Scourge because Scourge actually gives you increased quantity for every Scourge stack you have. So in maps, you have like 300% extra quad at the end of the tower map from all the Scourge stacks that you get. And even though Magic Finding is really fun, I think that Scourge would make every single league a Magic Find meta, and it will just be kind of boring after a while. And that's definitely the case, but that's part of the reason. So, what is actually some of the reasons why Scourge not going core is a good idea? In that, what's actually the bad parts about Scourge? And backtracking does not feel good in any shape of form. And this is pretty much chalked up to some of the problems with how GGG implemented the league. So right now, if you play the Scourge League, you have the mini map open, or you have the map in the middle open. You can't really see where you have gone in the Crankleverse, right? So you don't really know where you need to go in order to Scourge and where you haven't been already, and that's kind of an annoying feeling. Scourge does not feel really that great to play with the backtracking. It kind of feels awkward a lot of times. It also makes maps feel double as long because you have to pretty much clear the map twice. And if you ever did like a league start push to try to get Awakener early on, you'd probably be miles better off if you never even touched the Scourge mechanic, right? And that's actually one of the worst parts about a league mechanic is when you can pretty much just ignore it completely and you're better off for it. Now, this is another problem is not knowing where you Scourge before, and this is actually the big problem with the league and what makes the league feel awful in terms of like what it feels from what drops is that the Scourge implicits are just awful. So if you go on PoE Trade and just look at some of the items, so what is this? Like, let's just say Brass Dome, and you kind of look at some of the Scourges, and this is like tier 3 Scourge. And this is actually extremely, extremely rare. And you see stuff that's just awful, right? Like 23% reduced global defenses. This is pretty much just unplayable. Lose 3% of life on kill. And then like you have other stuff like you can apply one fewer curses. And there's just so many bad things on here that it just makes you wonder. -2 of level of socketed gems, reduced maximum life. And these are all T3 ones, right? So, and a lot of these, and there's even ones like hits have 10% additional crit chance against you, and there's like deal no physical damage, deal no crits, and it just ends up being that it is almost a near impossibility to get a good item. And that just kind of defeats the whole purpose of Scourge League, right? The whole purpose of Scourge League is that you can Scourge up uniques and you can have somewhat of a good chance to get something actually beneficial for your build. But a lot of times it's just plain out impossible, and like Scourging items are just a terrible idea. And it also showcases how bad the trace system is because in order to Scourge up a bunch of items, you have to go through the trace system and buy a bunch of brass domes or buy a bunch of red blade banners or whatever you're trying to use. Now, On the flip side, Scourge does add the fact that uniques do tend to have a lot more value with Scourge, right? Because as bad as some of these things are, there are going to be good ones because of the sheer amount of people who actually play. So there's going to be good Scourges that pop up. And this allows uniques to have a lot more value compared to rares because a lot of people don't even use uniques in builds, right? But with Scourge, you can potentially get like good mods that have uniques have some resist, right? So you can potentially get a brass dome, you can get a unique ring, and you can get additional resist on top, and that actually brings up the power of uniques relative to rares. And it's actually pretty hard to beat a brass dome in this way, right? Because you can get an easy 6 link, you can get an easy benefit of the Scourge, and then you could also corrupt it to get like +2 gems or something. So that's why Scourge is not that terrible in terms of making uniques more valuable compared to rares. And Scourge also unlocks some pretty unique builds, right? So if we go on PoE Ninja right now, we can see that one of the most popular builds on PoE Ninja is Doriani's prototype, Flicker Strike. Now, this build works by having Scourge items, and every single item is minus lightning res, minus lightning res, and minus lightning res, right? So this build works by having negative lightning res, and then your lightning nearby enemies have lightning resistance equal to yours. So if you have negative 200% lightning res, then the enemies near you will have negative 200% lightning res, and that's why this build is so strong. So without Scourge, these builds will just completely disappear. Or not completely disappear, but they'll be miles weaker. So Scourge did add a bit of build diversity in some very extreme cases, and it did make uniques a lot more powerful compared to rares, right? So there's some good parts about it. Overall, in my eyes, I think that Scourge is it would be pretty hard for it to implement it to go core. And in the what's it called? In the Reddit thread, Bex did reply. Someone asked, "Is it feasible for Scourge to come back as a Zana mod?" Right, and they say it's not feasible without a fair amount of work. Maybe one day, but no plans for this currently. So there's pretty much no chance that Scourge makes it back into the game whatsoever. The biggest chance that Scourge has to make it back into the game is with Scourge or Tainted Currency. And I do think that Tainted Currency might make a return with Ultimatum or something like that as one of the rewards at the end, and that probably be the best way of doing it. But overall, Scourge League was kind of a disaster, I feel like, in terms of player numbers and basically how it felt for a lot of people to play. I did personally enjoy Scourge League myself because it was fun running the deli maps and getting like 16, 17 reward layers. And it also helped out the build I was playing because I was able to use a lot of uniques like the Elder Ring and using Brass Dome, using Red Blade Banner, and having actually useful Scourge implicits with resist. And it will make the build a lot worse that I was playing because without the Scourge, have fun getting the resist, right? So now let's take a look at what the new trailer could entail and pretty brief look at the release date. So we already watched the trailer earlier, so this looks like maybe something to do with the new Atlas, and you might be wondering how someone found this, right? So I'm pretty sure if you watch the trailer, actually, they like played it at 0.25 speed, and this is from like that little flicker. You see that little flicker right there? So someone pretty much paused it and was able to capture like a pretty much a screen scrape and see what's going on. So this looks like maybe the middle of the Atlas. So it looks like a lot of stuff going on. I don't really know what to make of it. But one thing for sure is that the Atlas as we know and how it looks should drastically change. Now here's another one. This looks like definitely like maps or something like that. So you can definitely expect to see maybe a color scheme change for the Atlas. And this boss looks pretty menacing. It's floating in the air, and you can pretty much expect the arena to have a bunch of tentacles. But I might just have no idea what I'm talking about, right? And we don't really know exactly what's going to happen, but everything will be known on. So they'll release the expansion info on January 27th. I will be streaming the launch, and I'll be trying to make a lot more guides coming out because let's just say I saw some guides on YouTube yesterday while streaming that I just have no idea what the people are doing. One of the videos I watched, the person wasn't even using a Quicksilver flask at like level 90, and the person still had 4 life flasks and 1 mana flask in the build demonstration video. And even in the pop the person provided, there was no flasks. And yeah, so that's kind of one of my goals heading into this league is making better quality guides, releasing it earlier, and making it more beginner friendly. I have sourced a lot of YouTube videos for guides, and I have found out what people actually enjoy and not what people enjoy, but what actually helps out beginners the most. And that's going to be the one thing I focus on early on because I truly believe that some of the guides out there for beginners are probably just awful. And I will probably go over one of these guide videos just to showcase how bad some of these beginner builds are. And some of the guide videos that are super popular are actually linked to some RMT site, which is just kind of a shame because they're pretty much just trying to sell you what's it called, like RMT currency. And a lot of these guys also have like some arbitrary number value of like clear speed, budget, bossing, and it's just like completely whacked, right? But that will be something to look forward to in the future. And I'm playing Venom Geyer as my new build on Trade League to try it out. Maybe it can be a new meta thing. We'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know down in the comments below, and be sure to join my Discord and subscribe what you actually think about Scourge League and how sad you are about that it's going to be gone. Personally, I like Scourge League. I thought it added a lot to my build diversity and items I could choose in terms of uniques. And the tainted currency was amazing, but I don't think the league was implemented well, and it felt really bad to play regarding the items that dropped on the ground with the Scourge implicits. But overall, great league in my opinion, but everyone has different opinions. But thanks for watching, and I hope you find more mirrors, exalts, and mage bloods than me, and see you next time. Bye.